1 minute past 8 o'clock, we can start. And we have to start from, but most men, the Gita goes on to say. Okay?
We have to redo the para.
Okay. So
Yes,
I read
Ranganath, we have to redo the para.
Okay, so I'll read each sentence and we'll see if it is clear. But most men, the Gita goes on to say, desiring the fulfillment of their works, sacrifice to the gods, to various forms and personalities of the one Godhead, because the fulfillment, siddhi, that is born of works without knowledge, is very swift and easy in the human world. It belongs indeed to that world alone. So let me explain this. Okay, it's there are many implications in this. First, he has said that as men in the previous para, last sentence of the previous para, as men approach me, so I accept them to my love. Bhajami. Men follow in every way my path, O son of Pritha. So they follow your path, but the path at the highest level is pure. As it keeps coming down, that path in the lower levels becomes impure, and that also the men follow in the lower levels. So now what Gita is speaking about not the real sacrifice to the Supreme. Okay, because when Krishna is saying that as men approach me, okay, that is the third level, the Purushottama. Where the divine is personal as well as impersonal. So now he is saying, but most men, the Gita goes on to say, desiring the fulfillment of their works. Is it not true that all of us want success in the physical world? And when we want success in the physical world, some do it with their own effort, those who don't believe in God, or even if they believe in God, they feel that I will put in the right effort and I will succeed. That's not bad by itself, but there's a better way of doing that. Okay, so this is what he is saying. But there are some who pray to the divine. Okay, we discussed. I think we discussed that last time on some other class. I forget now. But when you want to be first in your class, you pray to God. Oh God, let my result be okay. You have given an examination and you want success there. You pray to God. Okay, and when you are it was yesterday in synthesis that we were doing this. There are 4 ways that the normal man approaches God. Not normal man, men in general. The first is Artha, the one who is suffering. So he asks for help from the divine. Okay. The second is Artharthi, the one who wants success in the physical world. And that success may be anything. It can be psychological, it can be vital, it can be physical. I don't have this, I would like to have this. So, this sort of thing. Then the last one is the Jnani, the one who approaches the divine because of knowledge, and he approaches with full understanding of the divine. So, these are the 4. So, it's very normal for people to ask help from God for success in the world. That is why people go and put their money in the hundi in all temples and all. Tirupati, and I don't know if other temples are there who collect a lot of money, but Tirupati collects a huge amount of money from the hundi. Because people come and say, I am giving you 100 rupees, let my business succeed. Things like that. So that's what is being referred to. Okay, so very clearly, they sacrifice to the gods, not to God. Not to God, but gods. Okay, the ones who live in the overmind level of consciousness, to various forms and personalities of the God, of the one Godhead. The spiritual man sacrifices and gives himself to the one Godhead, the Purushottama. But the others, they are only given to the gods, to Ganesh, to Indra, to whatever. Whatever you want, you do that. That's very clear, na? So the one, Purushottama is the third level. In the second level of the highest plane, overmind level, there are many, many gods, millions of gods in fact. Okay? Because each thing which is impersonal here, there is a god that represents it. This is an actual fact. We find it difficult to believe that these gods are real, but they are real. Okay? Kubera, Indra, Varuna, Shashanka, all these are all actual gods living, and you can call them also. And when you call them, they do answer. Whether you are receiving the answer or not is another question. But they do answer always. Okay, so to various forms and personality one point. Because the fulfillment that is born of works, okay, in the physical world, he's talking about the lowest level of works without knowledge. That's it. Okay. When you do work with knowledge, it becomes karma yoga. But when you do works without knowledge, it's a normal man asking God for help without understanding anything. Only out of pure selfishness and ego. Okay. You want success. Is very swift and easy in the human world. So success in the physical world is much, much, much easier, whether you approach the divine or not, right? It is very easy here, but success in the highest level is very difficult, not easy. That's what it says. Okay? You may say that, well, success is not so common in the physical world, but relatively, it is 10 times easier in the physical world than to get the success in the spiritual planes of consciousness. You have to really struggle hard, or you ask for help, surrender. Okay? It belongs indeed to that world alone. So when you are asking for help from the divine, the one Godheads, it belongs to the world alone. It has no spiritual value. That's what Sandrin said. Okay. The other, the divine self-fulfillment in man by the sacrifice with knowledge to the Supreme Godhead, the one who is understanding God and gives himself fully without any reserve, without any demand, okay, is much more difficult. There you are, very clear. Its results belong to the higher plane of existence and they are less easily grasped. Very difficult to get them. Okay? And they belong to the higher level. In other words, your success in the physical world is temporary and it will give you vital satisfaction. But the success that you will get in the spiritual planes of consciousness is not temporary. It is going to last you for your, not only this lifetime, but for all lifetime. And that's why it is so very difficult to grasp. That's what Sandrin is saying. So, two types of success he is talking about, right? I think it's very clear because the words are very clear. Men, therefore, have to follow the fourfold law of their nature. So which is the fourfold law of their nature? The Chaturvarnya. Okay. So, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. They have to follow the fourfold law because that's in the physical world, that is what operates and works. The fourfold law of their nature and works, and on this plane of mundane action, that means level 1 in the physical world, they seek the Godhead through various qualities. Okay, various qualities. But says Krishna, though I am the doer of the fourfold works and creator of its fourfold law, yet I must be known also as the non-doer, the imperishable, the immutable self. So, the divine is saying that I don't do works, it is nature that does works. Okay. Yet, at the same time, he is the one really doing the work because he is the one who sanctions everything. As I said, it's very useful to have that image. The general manager or the chief executive officer sits at the highest level, in the 7th floor maybe, and he guides his assistant managers and supervisors to get the work done at the lower level. So it is nature that works in the physical world. The divine is not working directly here. Okay? So this is a very important principle which we must always have. When people say, okay, there was a very interesting episode in the ashram, I think most of you know about it. There was a book that was written which was not very pleasantly written about Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And there was a lot of resistance and some people, I won't take names, but they said, oh, we don't need to worry about Mother and Sri Aurobindo's reputation. They will take care of themselves. That is not at all a correct assessment because it is nature that works here. The divine does not work here directly. He needs instruments. Okay, he needs instruments to work. And this truth is best expressed by that story of the fellow who is drowning in the sea. Remember? It's a story with great import and importance. He is drowning in the sea, and a ship comes and says, "Oh, we'll save you. Come up to the ship." He says, "No, no, no. God is going to take care of you." And then they say, "Okay, God is going to take care of you." Let go. Second ship comes, same thing happens. Fourth ship comes, same thing happens. Finally, he drowns and he goes to heaven. And in heaven or wherever he is, he asks God, "What happened? I've depended on you so much and you didn't come." So he said, "I sent so many ships to you, but you didn't take the advantage." So in other words, the divine works in the physical world through the laws that he has himself made. He doesn't show himself. He does it through his assistants and his supervisors. Okay? He does it through instruments in the physical world. So this is something that you must remember always. This is what is being described here. Okay? So with this background, it's a very important principle. You don't think that if you pray to God, He will come and directly do everything for you. He will do it in a very slow manner, because if He shows Himself to you, you will faint. You will not be able to stand the light and the intensity of the light. It will be too much for you. I go back to the text now. Okay? Men, therefore, in the physical world, they have to follow the fourfold law of their nature, because that's how it is in the physical world. Human nature goes basically into 4 lines. Okay, this is very, very broad generalization, but any activity can be put under the category of these 4. The knowledge aspect. The knowledge aspect is the Brahmin. The Brahmin is the one who goes to the knowledge aspect. The Kshatriya aspect. The Kshatriya aspect is the power. Okay, power and governance and arranging things. Okay, that's the Kshatriya. He is the one who rules, the ruling power. Then there is the Vaishya. The Vaishya is the one who produces and enjoys both. Produces wealth, produces things. He is in production. And the last one is a Shudra, who doesn't do all these things, but there is something, humble humility and service. Okay, seva. That also is necessary in the physical world. So these are the 4, and they are operative in the physical world. When you go up to the spiritual planes and all that, these it becomes this nature of the soul, not the nature of the body-mind life. Okay. Men, therefore, have to follow the fourfold law of their nature and works. And on this plane of mundane action, they seek the Godhead through His various qualities. But, says Krishna, though I am the doer of the fourfold works and creator of the fourfold law, yet I must be known also as the non-doer, the imperishable, the immutable self. This is the big experience that you have when you go to the spiritual planes of consciousness, okay? The Brahman consciousness. Either you see the physical world as unreal, but you are in absolute peace and silence and immutability. Or if you are lucky and you have the cosmic consciousness, the world is not unreal, and you can take part in the physical world along with the consciousness of the peace and calm and quiet, silence. Okay, so it depends on you. So this is what Sandra is saying. So the first experience of the spiritual plane is that there is work is being done here by nature. You are not doing anything. You are not the doer. Nature is the doer. Okay? This is a very important principle you must keep in mind. Then he's saying, though I am the doer of the fourfold works and the creator of the law, ultimately I am responsible, he says. Yet I must be known also by the non-doer, the imperishable, the immutable self. So the non-doer, imperishable and immutable self, very clearly the Brahman consciousness. And how will you describe that consciousness? Immutable, featureless, infinite, eternal, and without any movement at all. Absolutely immutable. It's a silence of action. No action at all. Okay? So then he is quoting. This is from verse 14 of the chapter. Okay? He's saying, works affect me not, nor have I desire for the fruit of works. Although I do works, the law of causality, the law of karma does not affect me because I am seated above in the higher planes of consciousness. And that's exactly what happens also to the yogi. When he goes into the Brahman consciousness, if he is doing any work in the physical world, it will not affect his soul, but it will affect the body-mind life. Okay? That is the reason why even avatars who have a divine consciousness, okay, suffer the laws of the physical world. Okay? Ramakrishna and Raman Maharshi, they had cancer at the physical level. Not that it bothers them, but the law of the physical world operates even on them. It will stop operating when the supramental grace comes. But as of now, the lower laws do operate. Okay? It is nature that does all these things and you are subject to them. But your consciousness is seated high. And whatever works are going on in the physical world you are doing, your soul will not be affected. You are free. You is the soul. But you as body, mind, life will undergo the law of nature. Okay? That's what he's saying. Okay? So then, works affect me not, nor have I desire for the fruit of works. For God is impersonal, beyond this egoistic personality, and the strife of the modes of nature. The modes of nature, three gunas. Okay? And as the Purushottama also, the impersonal personality, he possesses the supreme freedom, even in works. So now let's get this very clear. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1, you are in ignorance and the law of causality, karma. It operates. Whatever you do will have its effect and you will grow by the law of karma. Whatever you do today will affect you tomorrow. Slowly, through this process, you will come to know your real being through many lives. But the yogi who goes to the spiritual plane of consciousness, now his soul is free. He is not going to suffer the laws of the physical world. Law of karma will not operate for him, but it will operate at the physical level. You go to the third level, and your works also in the physical world will now be divine. So there will be no law of causality and karma operating on you if you are a supramental being. Okay? So the three levels. It's very clear now. This is what is going to happen. Okay? Now, what is the third level? So I'm describing very clearly here. For God is the impersonal, beyond this egoistic personality. Very clearly, this is level 2, the spiritual planes of consciousness. You are in the impersonal. You don't get the personal normally in the higher planes of spiritual consciousness, higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind, over mind. Okay, you don't see the personality of the divine. You see the impersonality of the divine. Only. That's why there is not so much of power. Power is there, but not too much to change your destiny, your fate, and the imperfections of the physical world you can't do. But when you go to the third level, okay, you have the personal aspect as well as the impersonal aspect. That's why Shabda is using the word impersonal personality. So, impersonal personality. Both are there, personal as well as impersonal. Mind you, the bhakta gets the personal aspect of the divine at the lower levels, not at the supramental level. So he may not even experience the impersonality at all, a bhakta. But he sees the divine within himself and he will enjoy that intimacy and love, intense ecstasy. But there is no knowledge. Okay? There may be knowledge a little bit, but not full knowledge. That full knowledge and full power comes only at the third level, the Purushottama level, or what Shabda uses the word Ishwar. Okay? So, even the Gita also uses the word Ishwara. Ishwara sarva bhutana hrideshe tishtati. So, that is what he's saying. Okay? I go to the next sentence. Not sentence actually, phrase. The impersonal personality, he possesses this supreme freedom even in works. That's at the third level. Third level, you are completely free and you are working in the physical world, as he says, I am responsible for all works, but I am not affected at all by that. This is true only at the third level. Okay, so then he says, he possesses the supreme freedom even in works. Therefore, the doer of divine works, and you can do divine works only from the highest third level, even while following the fourfold law, has to know and live in that which is beyond. So your body mind life is at level 1, but your consciousness is at level 3. Okay? Then not level 2, level 3, which is beyond. Live. Therefore, the doer of divine works, even while following the fourfold law, has to know and live in that which is beyond, in the impersonal self, and so in the supreme Godhead. So this is first of all in the Brahman consciousness, Atho Mayi. This also Seva goes on stressing. Okay, first in the person, then in the person. Okay, the Purushottam. He who thus knows me is not bound by his works. He is not bound by his works if he is doing works in the physical world. In this level 2, there is usually a tendency not to do any physical work in the world. I have had one very close friend of mine. He had the Brahmic consciousness here in the ashram, and although he was doing work, but very unwillingly. So, because in the ashram you have to do work, so he was not very interested. That experience lasted for him for about 6-7 months. Then he again became the normal man. You come down. You have the experience and you come down. Okay, so he who knows me is not bound by his works. So the me is the third level, Purushottam, because Krishna is speaking. Okay? The personal aspect as well as the impersonal aspect. So knowing was work done by the men of old who sought liberation. Do therefore work. No, wait, so knowing was work done by the men of old who sought liberation. Do therefore thou also work of that more ancient kind done by ancient men. Okay? This is he is referring to the Vedic period, where they did not reject the physical world. They did works in the physical world and sacrificed their works, their everything, their nature, their works, everything to the divine. The karma yogis. Janaka is supposed to be the perfect example of a karma yogi. He is a man, he is a king. He is living in luxury, but he is not attached. Okay? He is not attached at all. So this is what the paragraph is saying. So don't do works like ordinary men, where you will get success, temporary success, and you may get what you want, but it will have consequences. Okay, so there are some very interesting movies about this. Okay, there's particularly one movie, an English movie, which was done in the Hollywood style, but there was great depth in it. Okay, so it's called Be Dazzled. If you're interested, you will see. It's it's a story of a person who is fed up with life. Okay, and he is wanting some totally different things. He says, I want to get out of this job and experience something totally different. It's very relevant to what I'm saying here, to what Gita is saying. So, the opportunity is seen by the devil, and the devil comes to him in the form of a beautiful girl. He comes and sits by the side. And says, who are you? He said, you were calling me, so I have come. And she gives a visiting card. And the visiting card has only got one thing. There's no address, no phone, nothing. It just says, the devil. Okay. And she said, but you have not put your address, how will I call you? He says, you call me, whenever you call me, you will get your wish done. Okay? So this is exactly what is a normal men do that. They ask the divine for help. Okay, without knowledge, without knowing what the implications are. So he says, oh, it's like that. He says, yes, you call me and I will immediately come to your side. Then he tests it out. And he calls her and immediately she's there by the side. Okay? And he says, what do you want? He says, I want wealth. He said, you have this, our contract, there are 7 wishes you will get, they'll be fulfilled. Okay. So the first wish, he said, I want wealth. So he immediately finds himself, where? In Colombia, among the drug addicts. Okay, not drug addicts, sorry, the drug dealers. Now you know very well that drug dealing has got a huge amount of money. So he has got the wish, but he is in deep trouble. The police are running after him. Okay, so this is the first. So this is exact like that 7 times. Every time he asks for trouble, asks for something, he gets it, but there are consequences. And last one, he says, I want to get rid of this contract with you. And that also becomes a fact. So the story is very interesting because it's exactly illustrative of this. You do get success in the physical world. Okay. It's very simple to understand. Huh? I want wealth. Okay. Suppose someone says, I want to become rich. You will become rich if you put in the right effort or even else, you will become rich. But what are the consequences? People will come to you for donations, harass you for donations. The thieves will be coming. The tax collectors will be coming. Your life will be one miserable, long existence. So this is what is there, a consequence. But if you go to the third level and not ask for anything, but only ask for it, you have the power to do anything in the physical world, and there will be no consequences to your actions. So, so this is the very, very practical. The Gita is not simple theory, huh? By the way, it's really the greatest guidance you can get in the world for spiritual life is in the Gita. Okay, we go to the next one. That's 7:20. We got 12 minutes. We can read the next one. The second portion of these passages. Somebody has to read. Who will read?
I can read.
Okay, Tarika, go ahead. You're still in
No,
Nainital?
no, came back to Pondicherry.
I say you have come back to Bombay. Okay. So, read the second portion.
The second portion of these passages, which has here been given in substance, explains the nature of divine works, Divyam Karma, with the principle of which we have had to deal in the last essay. The first, which has been fully translated, explains the way of the divine birth, Divyam Janma, the avatarhood. But we have to remark carefully that the upholding of dharma in the world is not only the object of the descent of the avatar, that great mystery of the divine manifest in humanity. For the upholding of the dharma is not an all sufficient object in itself, not the supreme possible aim for the manifestation of a Christ, a Krishna, Buddha, but is only the general condition of a higher aim and a more supreme and divine utility. For there are 2 aspects of the divine birth. One is a descent, the birth of God in humanity, the Godhead manifesting itself in the human form and nature, the eternal avatar. The other is an ascent, the birth of man into the Godhead, man rising into the divine nature and consciousness. Madbhavam Agata. It is the being born anew in a second birth of the soul. It is that new birth which avatarhood and the upholding of the dharma are intended to serve. This double aspect in the Gita's doctrine of avatarhood is apt to be missed by the cursory reader satisfied, as most are, with catching a superficial view of its profound teachings, and it is missed too by the formal commentator petrified in the rigidity of the schools. Yet, it is necessary, surely, to the whole meaning of the doctrine. Otherwise, the avatar idea would be only a dogma, a popular superstition, or an imaginative or mystic deification of historical or legendary supermen. Not what the Gita makes all its sorry, not what the Gita makes all its teaching. a deep philosophical and religious truth, and an of essential part of or step to the supreme mystery of all. Rahasyam Uttamam.
This is a very important aspect which many, as Swayambhu himself says, they miss that second part. What is the purpose of that's why the possibility and purpose of avatarhood is the chapter heading. Why does the avatarhood, why is it necessary? Is it only for dharma sansthapanartha? Is it only that? Because that will never be full. Because this world is a world of imperfection. Okay? It's a world of imperfection. In a sense, you can say permanently. But if you take the evolution into account, it is not permanent. But it's a very slow, very slow ascent upwards. Evolution is very slow. So for practical reasons, you can say that level 1, the spiritual world, the physical world, is imperfect, always. So what is the divine going to come? He himself has made the law. He will come down and make it perfect here by descending. So that is not the purpose. The purpose is, part purpose is to guide the evolution. That is dharma sansthapanarthaya. Then the other one is helping God to rise, helping men to rise to the Godhead. That's the ascent. Okay? Ascent and descent. Both are necessary. That's why now for the avatar, the purpose is first of all a descent, and then he is helping men to ascend. Okay? It's like that for the avatar. But for the human being, it is first an ascent and then a descent. Not all men. It is the first an ascent for everybody. Then after the ascent is done, some say, I don't want anything else. But now Swayambhu says, no, we want also perfection in the physical world. Then there is a descent. The descent is what? What is the descent? The descent of power, the descent of consciousness, the descent of light, the descent of knowledge, ananda, into the physical world. That's a descent. Okay? And that is necessary. Because if you don't do that, then the world will remain imperfect forever. So you have to go up, but then you have to come down also and become a divine instrument in the physical world. That's what is being said in this para. But it's a fairly long para, not too much, but we have got 6 minutes. So we'll try and go through it. The second portion of these passages, which have here been given in substance, not fully, but in substance, explains the nature of divine works, divyam karma. The divyam karma, not the normal karma of a man. What is the purpose of divyam karma? With the principle of which we have to deal in the last essay, which we had to deal in the last essay. Divine works, that was the chapter. The divine works. The principle of divine works. Now, he is saying, the first, which has been fully translated, okay, explains the way of the divine birth, divyam janma, the divine birth, the avatar birth. But we have to remark carefully that the upholding of dharma in the world, dharma sansthapanarthaya, in the world, is not the only object of the descent of the avatar. Because then that would be a very limited action. That great mystery of the divine manifest in humanity. So, what is the mystery? The mystery is that a man is divine in consciousness, but he has a body, he has a mind, he has a vital. But the consciousness is up there. The consciousness is divine. And that's a mystery. Very difficult for us to understand. Okay? So, but we have to remark carefully that the upholding of dharma in the world is not the only object of the descent of the avatar. That great mystery of the divine manifest in humanity. He takes on a body, a vital, and a mind, and comes down to the physical. For the upholding of the dharma is not an all-sufficient object in itself. Very clearly he is saying, and even if the divine wants to do that, he will not be able to do it because he himself made the law of the imperfection in the physical world. The diminution of the powers, Satchidananda coming down, diminishes itself. We have discussed that many times today. Dharma is not an all-sufficient object in itself. So what is the object? Not the supreme possible aim for the manifestation of a Christ, a Krishna, a Buddha. So these three he goes on repeating as avatars. Okay? But is only the general condition of a higher aim and a more supreme and divine utility. And what is that higher aim? To help man to ascend to the divine consciousness. For there are two aspects of the divine birth. One is a descent, the birth of God in humanity, the Godhead manifesting itself in the human form and nature, the eternal avatar. The other is an ascent. Now note that he is talking of eternal avatar. What is the eternal avatar? God is manifesting himself in the human form and nature. Everybody, every soul is an eternal and potential avatar. This come down. That's one aspect. The other is an ascent, the birth of man into the Godhead. The man rising from the divine nature into the divine, man rising into the divine nature from his imperfect nature and consciousness. Mad bhavam agata. So mad bhavam, my consciousness, has come down. He has come up. It is a being born anew in the second birth of the soul. That is the purpose of the avatar. He comes down and shows you that this is the way. Okay? It is a new birth which avatarhood and the upholding of the dharma are intended to serve. Without that ascent of man, without the help to the aspirants to rise to the purpose of avatar would be very limited. So very sad. Okay? It is this new birth which avatarhood and the upholding of the dharma are intended to serve. This double aspect of the Gita's doctrine of avatarhood is apt to be missed by the cursory reader, satisfied as most are with catching a superficial view of the profound teachings. And it is missed too by the formal commentator, petrified into the rigidity of the schools. Note the words very carefully, because Sriyambha is completely going beyond the Gita. Others are afraid to do that. Petrified, you become like a stone, you are afraid to go beyond what the rigidity of the schools, all the philosophies have told you, what the Shastras have told you. You are afraid to go beyond that. Okay? So they are using a very strong word, petrified with fear. You become absolutely like a stone. Okay? Yet it is necessary, surely, to the whole meaning of the doctrine. And that's why Sriyambha's yoga is an ascent as well as a descent. For the avatar, it's the other way around. First of all, it's a descent, and then he is helping the others to ascend. Whereas because the avatar is doing that, man is enabled to ascend, but then he must not get stuck there. He must also come down. Many are the ones who ascend and don't want to come down. Okay? Buddhists have that philosophy, escape the suffering, and more than enough. The Mayavadins, okay? Even some of the Vedantins, they just go up there, they're satisfied. But Sriyambha wants you to descend also. Otherwise, the avatar idea would only be a dogma, a popular superstition, or an imaginative or mystic deification of historical or legendary supermen. Okay. Sriyambha is also using legendary, because some people say Christ didn't exist, Krishna didn't exist, Ram didn't exist. They are all legendary, but that's not true. Krishna is definitely a living person in the past. There's no doubt about that, because Sriyambha had experience of him. Okay. Even Rama, there's sufficient evidence historically also that they did exist on the physical world. Yes. Historical or legendary superman, not what the Gita makes all its teaching a deep philosophical and religious truth and an essential part of or step to the supreme mystery of all, Rahasyam Uttama. And what is that Rahasyam Uttama? Purushottama. The descent of the divine to change and take evolution forward step by step. That's the deepest the highest secret. Rahasyam Uttam. So, okay, we stop here. Come, Ajay, come in. Okay, so next time we'll do this. They're very interesting paragraphs. Okay? You have to understand really what is being said. If there were not this rising of man, that's the next time. Okay? So, au revoir, everybody.
Rangada.
Thank you, Rangada.
Thank you, Rangada.